In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to paint this lovely sunset. I'm using cocoa butter and dust colours. It's a really effective way of painting and I really do hope you enjoy it. Right, so firstly you need some kind of template. I've printed off this picture from the internet. You can get your own picture or you can sort of download a copy of this if this is the one you want to use yourself. From the picture you do need to make a template. So just onto some baking parchment, just a quick template of just the main parts. So basically I've just done an outline of the palm trees. I've done a line there just for the horizon, just part of the sun and a little bit of the rocks down here. So it's not too much detail at all. Then that needs to go onto a white ice board. So if you are doing this on a cake, it's important to remember that you need the icing to have set before you try and put this template onto it. If it's too soft, it's going to spoil the cake. So you need to allow at least a day for that icing to set off. I'm going to keep looking through to see if it's transferred okay. Try not to move the image at all. That's the one tree done. So this image isn't quite, it's not going to quite fit the picture, well, the board. So I will just extend the image when I paint it, so it goes up and fills the areas. Okay, so that is on there now. So that basic transfer there is just a guide. So everything else is going to be done with the painting. So I'm going to keep this here so I can see what colours I need to use. And keep referring back to that image. And what I'm painting with today is cocoa butter. So this is what cocoa butter looks like. You can get it from a health shop. You can buy it online. It needs to be raw cocoa butter. So it comes in these chunks and you can easily grate it down with a cheese grater. It then goes into a little palette and I've got this palette over a ceramic burner and it just melts it ready for me to use as a paint. To the paint I'm going to add these dust colours. So this is lemon yellow, black, and this one is coral. So starting with a whitish brush, I'm going to add a little bit of dust to some of this butter. So what I can do, now it's melted, I can just bring it off and then I'll just put it back on every time I need to heat it up a little bit more. So I always start with the lighter colours in the design. So the yellow is the lightest. Just mix it through really well. And then starting with the sun, just going to gently colour that area in. So I'm trying not to go over like into the palm trees if I can help it. But I will be putting black over later, and that will hide most of the yellow if you do accidentally go over. So from the picture you can see that there's some yellow for the sun. You need to get a yellow horizon, and then you've got the reflection in the water. So I'm using the brush horizontally to try and pick up the same pattern as what's in the picture. So it's sort of the movement of the water. So I'm going to take that all the way across now. You can actually completely change the colour of this as well. So this is like a reddy orange sunset, but you could have a bluey colour or a greeny colour or even a purple. So when I'm painting, I tend to try not to mix the same paintbrush with different colours. And what I want to do now is make another section, sticking with the yellow. I'm just going to take some out just in case I need any more of it. I'm going to add some more cocoa butter to that yellow, and then add some of the coral red. Just a tiny little bit. Might be worth putting it into the cap so you don't end up putting too much in. So now I've got more of an orange colour. And I'm going to start working a little bit of the colour into the sun. So just horizontal brush strokes again. And then I'm going to go straight across the horizon and add some orange into that area as well. When painting like this, you need to keep adding layers of colour. So a little bit through the reflection as well. I'm trying to do it lightly without going too heavy at this point. So now I'm going to leave some of that in there again in case I need it. And then I'm going to add more of the coral. So I'm just going to fill the rest of the sea area. I'm trying to blend it into the reflection without losing that shape there. So I'm just going to add some of this colour to the bottom of the sun. Right, so I'm going to add some more coral into that mix. Try and get a nice deep red now. So just doing the sky. I'm just going to be careful how I go around the top of the sun there. I'm trying not to be too messy around the palm trees. But we do need a little bit of the sky to be seen through. So in some areas, I'm just putting a little bit of colour. So going back to the sea, actually now before I do, I need to get this area here, which is just between all the palm trees. I'm just going to add some more yellow to that as well. I'm just adding some more of this through the sky, just to get some different tones in there. So moving back to the sea, I'm going to get some more yellow into this red, make it a little bit more orange. And then put a new layer of colour on top. So this layer will just blend into the base layer that's there already. And still sticking to the direction of going straight across to try and pick up the ripple of the water. So I'm just going to go across that horizon again and pick up some orange just here. And then a little bit more down in the bottom part of this reflection. Now going back to just the plain yellow again, I can see I need a little bit more here. I'll just fill that area in a bit more. And a bit more there. So I'm leaving all colours there just in case I do decide to come back and touch up anywhere. But what I'm going to do now is mix up the black. I'll use quite a bit. I'm just going to leave a little bit of that butter to one side. It needs to be quite thick as well, if it's going to cover well. So as the butter is off the heat, it starts to thicken up, and sometimes we benefit from it being a thin consistency, but other times we do need it to be thicker. And for the black, being thicker is a bit better. So the more dust that I add will thicken it up also. Okay, so starting at the bottom of the picture, I'm just going to fill in that area that wasn't part of the template. And the direction of the brush strokes here needs to be more circular because this is picking up the rocks and the earth in the picture. So when you're painting different areas of the picture, you always need to think about the texture that you're creating as well. So a rough texture for the rocks is better than a directional brush stroke. So moving on to the trees, I'm going to just try and do that as smooth and as neat as I can. So when it comes to the actual palm trees, I have to create a texture for the actual leaves. So these thin, short strokes in different directions are going to create that texturing. So if I end up with any white gaps, I will go back in and colour those in a little while. I'm not worried about them at this point. So I'm just going to swap to a slightly smaller brush just to finish off these last little bits. I'm trying to keep these brush strokes really delicate. There's still a little bit of colour to put in. So very carefully, so as not to upset the black that's already there. Just going to fill in those areas. Okay, and then the final little bits. So a few more little short, sharp strokes, and it should be finished. And just being careful not to leave any white sections. And finally, with the black brush, I'm going to take most of the colour off it, and then just add in a little bit of colour down here. Not too much. Just puts a little bit of a shadow into the water. Just going to build that up a little bit more there. And there we have it. A hand-painted sunset. Thank you for watching my tutorial. I hope you liked it. Please be sure to visit my website or my YouTube channel where you will find many more.